Hello, beautiful sacred souls. Have you ever noticed how in many spiritual traditions or myths, the concept of self-sacrifice is center to the theme of redemption or healing or returning to heaven? This is a script I've written. I hope you'll stay tuned. Martyrs, saviors, gurus, even ancient figures like Yeshua, known as Jesus, are remembered for giving everything for others, for sacrificing their own lives at times in order to save humanity. But what if we've been misunderstanding the most important part of spirituality? What if the real lesson isn't about sacrifice, but about living fully in integrity while helping the world change? Let's look at Yeshua, or Jesus. Archetypally, he represented embodied clarity, moral courage, unconditional love, and inner authority. He didn't need followers to validate him, and he refused to obey corrupt systems. Yet history shows that society often couldn't metabolize that kind of embodiment. Cultures instead defaulted to hierarchy and self-abandonment, the concept that he died on the cross in order to save humanity. They turned his story of embodied divinity into a savior narrative. In other words, he suffered and died so others could avoid facing themselves. A pattern that sanctifies self-abandonment and prevents genuine human maturity. That's how sacrifice became glorified and why martyrdom stories are so compelling. Not because the archetype failed, but because human systems often rely on suffering in order to maintain order and power. I want to introduce a concept here called the embodied divine human. Now here's the path that is sustainable for humanity. The one that is the embodied divine human. This is someone who teaches with boundaries, not domination, and lives their life in the same way. Someone who empowers others to take responsibility for themselves rather than promising that they can save or heal them. Someone who embodies ethics, integrity, and compassion without martyrdom or self-sacrifice. Someone who is fully present in life, fully human, and fully aligned with divine clarity. In other words, peace and transformation don't require us to disappear or suffer for the greater good. That's what sustainable change looks like and what healing in the world requires. So how is this relevant to you? Well, this matters in your life today. Think about the ways you've been told you have to give up your truth to maintain relationships. You have to sacrifice your integrity for others' comfort. The embodied divine human does not require you to put yourself last in order to be loving. Instead, it asks you, what if you didn't have to do those things? It instead forces us each individually to look honestly at our own unhealthy patterns, because we all have them. No one is perfect. By embracing this embodiment and this truth, you can see how your actions, reactions, and even your healthy habits sometimes contribute to unhealthy dynamics in relationships, workplaces, families, and society. Ethical embodiment is not just avoiding martyrdom and self-sacrifice. It's about facing your own shadow and choosing integrity in action so that your presence helps the system shift rather than reinforcing dysfunction. All right, let's experiment with a short somatic practice to help you to feel this in your body. Let's start by helping your nervous system feel this truth. I invite you to sit or stand comfortably. And if it feels comfortable, I invite you to either close your eyes or find a soft place to gaze. I invite you to place one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. I invite you to feel the weight of your body grounding you. I invite you to breathe in slowly through your nose for 4 counts and out your mouth for 6 counts. As you breathe out, I invite you to imagine releasing the pressure to disappear, to sacrifice, or to carry others' work for them. As you breathe in, I invite you to draw in integrity, clarity, and your full embodied wholeness into your body. I invite you to stay with this pattern for 3 to 5 breaths, feeling your presence, clarity, and self-reflection ripple out into the world ethically. And if you notice any resistance or tension, these are just parts of yourself that have been in separation from this truth. You don't have to disappear or suffer for change to happen. Your integrity, fully embodied, contributes to healthier dynamics around you. So next time you feel the pressure to sacrifice or shrink yourself for someone else's comfort, first begin to ask yourself, what part of me might be rubbing or triggering their wounds? And how can I honor my own authentic self? Remember that embodied divine human presence is peace and transformation, not from martyrdom, self-awareness and embodied truth, mirroring compassionate ethics. This comes from embodiment, self-reflection, boundaries, and ethical presence. I invite you to be the change of the world without disappearing. But this does require you to do your inner work. And if you're curious about how to do that, I offer myself as a mentor and guide, as someone who is working on trying to embody ethics in everyday life. My book, The Divine Within, Healing Ourselves to Heal the World, which is available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and Walmart and Powell's Books, is a step-by-step guide in how to develop self-awareness and embody ethical truth and compassion. And I would be honored if you would consider reading it. I also have online courses at my website, blossomingheartwellness.com. Sending you all deep love and appreciation for who you are, no matter where you are on your healing journey.